one of those guests is here today, and he's going to take us through a guide and help us to make more sense of this and how we can use his guide in order to label these things for our self and start to release that. So I'm not going to speak too much on what he's going to share for us because I haven't gone through it all yet. And I'm really excited to introduce, he's not only my co-host in the 1111 Spiritual Transit podcast, but he is an author and he's a mentor, and he dedicates his life to working with individuals to face their shadow and let go of these and step fully into their authenticity. So I'm going to push it over to Jay right now, and I'll let you take the floor, Jay. So thank you and welcome.
Well, how are you, my friend? Yeah, apologies about the Mercury retrograde computer issues, ladies and gentlemen. You'll find out when you go through this work that you'll have issues. Things will come up and they'll make sense, because if you're connected to the universe, connected to the earth, you'll understand that the universe is testing you. So there we go. Thanks a lot for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, my name's Jay. I'm from down under Australia, where all the kangaroos hang out. Now, we have to apologise again. We're going to I'm going to go through each of the slides that I'm going to go through. I was going to share, but I'll have to change devices, and we will go through each of these. So we will use this as a presentation later on. So hope everyone's well today. Yeah, the shadow work, just a quick rundown with me. I had my spiritual awakening about 2019, fell in a heap, and then started to work out what was going on within myself. I had no idea. I was having all these panic attacks. I basically had a pseudo stroke. There you go. And then I met some great people by the name of Greg Riley and Michael McNair. Now, they started the Shadow Warrior course, which is basically what we're going to be talking about today, and going into the shadow, all the dark stuff that I like to talk about. Looking at the dark side of yourself, but not in an evil way. That's why I want to make sure that people understand. The shadow is not evil. All right. Every time I talk to people now, it's really funny when you actually access yourself and talk about this stuff. First thing they think, shadow, evil. No, it's not. And that's why I tell people, even though it's a dark side, you say the dark side, they'll go straight away, it's evil. It's other words that I will not use because we'll get bumped. But they look at the other side. But this one here is about your deep-seated issues and deep-seated problems that are coming in, traumas that affect you in your adulthood or affected you when you're in your real life. That's how I look at it. So I met Greg and Michael, went through I think about an 8-week course with them, and the most important thing that Jackie said that we have to be really aware of is a safe space. I've never been in a safe space to express what I am expressing right now, to have the confidence that I've got this little group here. This are the super friends. I'm a comic book freak, as you can see. There we go. Love me Bret Hart, love me heavy metal, love all that. But I've got a safe space here that I can actually talk. And that's the most important thing, is your soul and your spirit and your consciousness will know if you're safe. Because remember, the subconscious keeps you safe. Okay? So that's where you've got to be when you're actually talking. Now, it's really funny when you actually go into this. Now, I'm going to jump from spot to spot. So I do apologize by that. I get excited when I talk about this stuff. So when you get into a safe space, and when you get into this shadow work and start embracing it and changing your energy, people start attracting to you. And I've been basically talking to people. I didn't realize I've been talking to people for the last 3 years about it. About even last night, I was talking to someone about it. They said they're going into talking about traumas and all that stuff. They didn't use the word shadow, but they used the word about they're looking into themselves about past traumas and all those kind of things. So you'll find that you got people who go to, say, counselling and all those kind of things, looking at past traumas. But in our world, it's called the shadow self. And that's where Greg and Michael, big shout out to you guys, because it wasn't for you guys. And Deirdre James, big shout out to you. I'd like to acknowledge these people who got me on the path. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be talking to you now and understanding, even to this day, that the shadow works where it is. So, first of all, there's a definition of the shadow that I like to work. It's basically working with mental and emotional issues. All right. So if you want to go that far, so if you want to look into, say, I'll call it this world and I'll call it the next world. Okay. So this world here that looks at helping people go through their mental and emotional issues. There's even words thrown up about depression and all those kind of things. They can be used, but you've got to be careful how you use them because they're a medical term. We're not medical practitioners, but we are people who work within the spirit and within our own subconscious and our conscious minds, which we understand. Okay, so again, just want to make a disclaimer right now. This is not a medical opinion. Okay, this is what we've gone through ourselves. Okay, anyone on here and anyone who talks about it is going through what we call the life, their own life, and they've got their own life PhD. So they're talking about their experiences. They've seen professionals. We've seen people who are like-minded, like me and all these people in here, our little community that are expressing what we're doing, looking for information. Okay, big Shano over there, he gives us a lot of information that goes through and we can go and explore what we need to do. Then we go and find the people that are going to help us, and that's where we're going. Okay, so it's not a medical opinion. And at any time, if anything triggers when you're watching this video, because this video will go live on Zoom and YouTube, okay, you go and seek some help. That's just a disclaimer that I'd like to say straight up. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, accessing your shadows, deep-seated emotions and feelings. I apologize, I am going to read from the PowerPoint that was supposed to go up because of Mercury retrograde, it's not going to allow me to do it. So it's obviously tested me in some way. Thanks very much. I'm a bit of a comedian when I need to be. So you're accessing the shadow, deep-seated feelings, emotions, and traumas and responses. So you're looking at yourself. What will happen is you get say for example, even now, the computer going down, someone talking to you at a workplace, you might be 45, but you're still accessing those traumas or those feelings that have happened back whenever it may be. Okay, so it might be when you're 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. We won't go into that now, but you're accessing feelings you haven't dealt with. Okay, or it's been suppressed, been pushed down, as Jackie was saying. So that's what we've got to make sure we understand when we're actually accessing all these traumas. Okay, or accessing these emotions. You're wondering, why am I acting like this? La da 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 da. Okay, but remember, the subconscious is always programmed to protect us as well. So these issues and feelings and emotions are something that has come up for you to protect yourself from the trauma that had originally done it to you. Then suddenly it comes up again and again, and you have that same response. That's pretty much how it works, within going into too much detail. Okay, and that's when we talk about, we put the shadow side onto it, where those traumas create another, I guess I'll call it another personality, another type of another part of yourself. That's the easiest way to describe it there. Part of yourself that comes forth to protect you when the certain trauma comes up again in your present day. So if you've got any questions, just throw it in the chat too. But you go through mental, emotional issues, you respond, as Jackie was saying, she responded by, if you don't mind me saying, Jack, you had the drugs. I mean, I was a depressive eater. Okay, I had major anger and frustration issues because I wasn't being heard, all those kind of things that are affecting my, personal, we're looking at heart problems to a point, blood pressure and all those kind of things. Okay, you had severe migraines, all those things. But my outlet was basically eating absolute garbage. Okay, and excessively eating say sweets, chocolate, Coca-Cola, not Coke. There you go, I'll just make it clear. So all those kind of things, because the sweetness in my life wasn't there. It was being taken away. Excuse me. It's been taken away, or I didn't have a chance to develop it. Okay. So when we're working with this, when we access the shadow work, we understand it. When I got introduced to it by Michael and Greg and Deirdre, when I looked into it, I'd already done all this spiritual work that had gone in and all that stuff. You go, this is great astrology, looking at planets, looking at crystals. Look, I've done massage for like 27 years and I've healed so many people. Okay, I didn't realize what my power was, but I didn't realize that I was being held back by myself, looking in the mirror and looking at that shadow self. And that's where we're at, where we're going, that's where we would be going. And when you understand that and you have an awareness of it, it is bloody scary. I'll use the word bloody because that's what we use down here in Australia. It's pretty cool, along with the kangaroos. But what we have to do is the greatest struggle is to understand, get into a safe space and bringing these to the surface. Now, as I said, this community I've got right here, and they all know who they are. Okay, especially even the big fella down in England, he knows who he is. When you're not being judged, when you can feel that you can be vulnerable with people and have the full trust of people and have an environment, as Jackie said, we're trying to create an environment of absolute safety and non-judgment. Because in this world here, I've found myself, and I'm still finding it to this day, that people still judge you. They don't realize that everyone goes to the journey. Now, I'm going to put my hand up. I've judged people. Don't worry about it. I have. Everyone has. But the awareness of when I go through the shadow work and understanding that I'm going through what I'm going through, and then seeing people who judge, well, they do, they judge you because they don't have a clue, because you're understanding where you are in life. That's a big thing for you to actually understand, that you're going to be in this safe space to access this shadow and move on. And people will not understand that. So yeah, so you have to go through those aspects of the shadow work and the journey that you go through. So with me, where I was, I had the meltdown. I know exactly what triggered it. There's always an issue that will trigger things. I've had two major ones that have triggered me and sent me down the spiral. Now, you don't go down the spiral of, you go down the spiral of losing your mind, I guess, if you want to put it that way. I'll use all these terms. I don't really care. Okay. You lose your mind. You don't know where you are. You lose purpose in life. You lose your strength. You lose your ability to move, whatever you want to do. But basically, your spirit is broken. And you'll find out, I'm just going to say it, parents, kids, mentors, all those things you have trusted, and that's just me. You've put trust in yourself, and then suddenly they've gone bang and they've taken that away from you. And it's huge to take that. It's huge to get back. And that's where your shadow comes in, because what you do is it will trigger responses like insecurity. You have self-confidence issues, self-esteem issues, all those kind of things. So you go in there and you say to yourself, rightio, these people have taken it away, and you go into that what they call now the black hole. Okay, and it takes a bit to come out. Okay, then you sort of come into things like, I'll be straight up. I went to a doctor and they said, look, you're probably depressed. Okay, depression. Okay, great. No worries. I've heard that term before. All right, and I believe in it. But I believe that it is the traumas that have caused this. Okay, they try to put me on antidepressants. So I said, no, not doing it. Bang, bang, gone. So I dealt with it myself. I understand about the body, the way cortisol works. Cortisol is like adrenaline. You can't run on adrenaline too much. Okay, it's like a drug to the body. It's like a drug to the heart. Okay, you can't put too much adrenaline in your body. It's supposed to be like 10 seconds. That's what they do in sport. 10 seconds to get a burst, bang, back it off. Imagine living with that for 40 years, living in anxiety, living with the thought of something going wrong. You have to actually help, you are actually, what's the word I'm looking for? You're actually trying to fix people up, trying to fix things. You're living basically the easiest way to describe this is you're always looking over your back. How would you feel about living that for 40 years? Think about it. All right. So your nerves would be shot, cortisol will be flying, and you have major issues. Obviously, if you have self-confidence and all those issues, that's where this shadow work and this traumas all come in. All right. And then suddenly I know what triggered me off. And then I went down there. But just as a disclaimer, ladies and gentlemen, if I hadn't gone there, I wouldn't have met my soul family in life theories, Diana, Sarah, and the big fella Batman over at Cortez, Batman, we're going to call him. Got Shano over there, the twin flame over there in Washington. Love you guys. Okay. I got my beautiful host here, Jackie, in the 11 Spiritual Podcast. Right. And I met a lot of other people. Elizabeth, I know you're in here. So just as a disclaimer, you might be down there, but you will come out of it. And you just have to have a safe way of doing things. So I mentioned the depression because it could be aligned. As I said, it's not a medical issue, but you have to have a look at it where it could be aligned in some way, depending which way you decide to go and where you go from there. But you will be understand that those thoughts are negative and they're coming down. They bring you down. You might be asked that you have that condition. That's fine. And depending where you want to go, I went to say I have inner traumas in the shadow. I went and worked with that with Greg Riley and Michael McNair from 5 Dimensions. There you go. There's another cheap plug. That's what Diamond Dallas Page keeps telling me to do, cheap plugs. All right. And again, they brought me that safe space to actually talk. Now, I'll give you a good example of how they accessed my shadow. Things trigger you off. Think about this. Things trigger you off. The simple thing that triggered me off was I had a bad internet company. Obviously, we got here today. That's, you know, the internet's just the way it is. Mercury retrograde. Thanks very much. Okay. But I had an issue there on the actual chat. And then Greg said, "You're not really angry with the internet. What's going on within you?" And that's when the penny dropped for me that I was working within my shadow. My shadow self, my traumas were what's the word I'm looking for? I keep going well because I think quicker than what I can talk. But basically, that was holding me back. What was holding me back? What was coming forth when I was doing those things? Instead of reacting a certain way, okay, which is basically, oh, it just happens, those traumas within you were accessed, and I was responding that way because of a past trauma. So that's where you look at shadow work. And that's how you go from there. And a lot of people will come to you and ask you that. Now, as I said to you, you don't have to go and say you're an expert or anything. I only use my experiences. Okay, what I've done, what I've gone through. As I said, I've done the course. I know how it all works. Okay, so we're going to the next part about unpacking the shadow. Okay, now again we talk about unresolved wounds. Okay, and again you could do it by yourself if you really want to, and journaling is fantastic for this. Okay, so unpacking your old unresolved wounds. Now, you won't know what they are until you get triggered. All right? You don't even know that you are getting triggered. You might just think, oh, someone's annoying me. But it could be, and then what you have to do is you create awareness within yourself. And again, my belief is you can't do it by yourself. In some way, you have to have either a friend or mentor with you. Okay? That's just my belief. You might be able to do it to a certain point, but then you have to actually go, right, I need to find out more about this and get some guidance. And mentoring, coaching, the flash word of the year, coaching, all that kind of stuff. Even a health professional. I know myself, I had a psych I was talking to, magnificent, holistic psych, fantastic. All right? And he put everything in perspective. And that's where you look at those traumas being that part of your shadow that you are holding back. They say there's 3 parts of the body. There's a guy by the name of what's his name now? Greg Keeley. I'll get it right. Apologize if I got it wrong. But I was watching his videos and he believes there's 4. Number 1, I'll go through it. Mind, body, spirit, and the shadow. The shadow is the one. If you can resolve those or get it under control, these 3 things can be harnessed. If you think about it logically. Okay? And we're put on this earth to learn lessons, all those kind of things, but we go from there. So the shadow will be unresolved wounds, challenging negative thoughts. Now, why do you have a negative thought? Now, obviously, there are people who have issues, mental and emotional issues. That's not a problem, but there are traumas as well, and they've got to get help for them. And the other thing I want to address, ladies and gentlemen, while I'm talking about the negative thoughts and unpacking the shadow, people like the people on here, Jackie, myself, we've recognized it and we've gone and got help for it. And then we've done the work. The hardest bit to do is to actually go into the forest of fear, walk with the wolf, which I did, and actually go into the deep-seated sides of your mind and deal with it. That's it. You can put butter and jam and strawberries or whatever on top of it. At the end of the day, you've got to walk it. You're going to be like Tarzan and jump off the cliff to go and save Jane. Whatever it may be, it's going to be the scariest thing you're ever going to do. But for your betterment of yourself, you will come out the other end. But again, this is why you got to recognize it and then go and seek out some people, or seek out people with a life PhD, as we've got. okay, and the skills that we've developed, or go and get yourself whatever you feel you have to do. You'll gain some awareness within your body, within your soul, that you know where you need to go. Okay, as I said, I'm jumping up and down with this, but this stuff here is so critical in life, and we undersize, especially now in this day and age, which I won't go into because we'll get deleted. So we'll go from there. All right. So the next one is acknowledging the patterns and reframing the patterns. Now those words there, that could take 5, 6, 7, 8 years, could take 3 months, doesn't matter. But the main thing is you gain awareness within yourself. You go, right, I know when I'm doing wrong. I know when this is a repeat pattern. I know I saw it. I only just realized one big one for me. And now that was in Feb. And I just realized there was a pattern that just happened a couple of days ago during this lovely time of the month, Mercury retrograde. Great stuff it is. Thorn in my backside. There you go. But I realize it, but you gain awareness when you understand your shadow too. So you go, okay, I'm still reacting the same way. The feelings are the same. That's where the journaling comes in. That's when I was journaling back in the day. I still do. But when I first was in kindergarten with this stuff, it's like you're going through kindergarten, primary school, elementary school for all you people on the other side, and high school. You go through and you learn through what you're doing. So you understand and get that awareness within yourself. So you start journaling and write those things down. All right. And they say reframing the patterns. That's the aftermath of understanding why it happened. So there's your trauma based. So a good mentor or counselor, or however you want to put it, will go, rightio, how does that make you feel? What happened? This, as I said, this is just an overview, ladies and gentlemen. So you can start jotting down little things there if this resonates with you. And then you start reframing the patterns, because remember, we've got control of our mind. All right. And that segues into what Greg and Michael said to me and Deidre. They said 3 things we've got. We can have peace of mind. Okay. If you've got peace of mind, think about it every day. You've got a choice. Everyone goes, we haven't got a choice. Yes, we do. We make choices every day. We make choices to get up in the morning. We make choices to go and come onto this podcast and talk about it. It makes choice about putting my glasses on. Okay. I make a choice about putting the feathers on. I didn't have to do that, but you make a choice. That's a simple choice. Then there's a choice of actually following through and looking into this stuff. Okay. Looking into you, looking into what you're doing. Okay. So it's the hardest thing you'll ever do. You'll look and go, oh yeah, I'm okay. So ask Jackie, she'll tell you she had everything given to her. I'm sorry if I'm putting words the wrong way, but she had everything and it didn't work for her. Now look, she's happier than what she ever was. I see her smiling every day, right? And she doesn't have that. It's not about being materialistic. It's about being happy with inside and working within yourself, because that's the biggest gift you can give to yourself. Relationships for me, garbage. I know exactly why I was attracting these people and doing stuff. I was selling my soul. I was selling myself out. Why? I'll tell you straight out, because I was rejected I was the black sheep of the family. I just found out right now how to the black sheep of the family I am. And that's where it was. And it was a challenge. I might as well, I won't use that analogy. I'll leave that one right where it lies. Anyway, but if I disassociated with the family, I'd be a better person. Let's go that way, because of the fact that's where I was at. And they gave me that shadow was developed through going through, still going through it in some ways, going through that process to tell you guys, this is what's happening. So getting put down, getting smashed emotionally, getting your confidence taken, getting controlled, all this kind of garbage. And then your purpose tries to break out. It's like, you're in this little cage, right? You're in this little cage. You just want to explode. When you explode, what happens? Jackie was saying about, some of the stuff that you fear when you come through this. My fear is success. There you go. I look at stuff because of the fear of success, and you go to the next bit, whereas I'm not good enough. there you go. I'm getting better at that, because you develop, and then you can understand where you can go from there. So that's a shadow self that has come out. So when you do journal and when you unpack it, you just unpack some of those things. It won't come up straight away. Don't think about it. Let it come to you. The other thing I wanted to say is let it flow too. Okay? But again, safe space, let it flow, make a choice. You got freedom and peace of mind. There you go. There's the 5 things. It just comes to me. There you go. I don't know, just goes from there. And as I said, in this PowerPoint, which you'll see, as I make sure I say, you have a choice in what you do. All right? So you make a conscious choice. All right? Conscious choice for me and the crew that are in here to go and join the full-time purpose group. Okay, I made a conscious choice to ring Cortez. Okay, Batman over there. Love you, mate. Robin's coming very soon. From there, Life Theories. He went and contacted Sarah, our Raven, our little friend Raven. Okay, Raven from Titans. Okay, all those kind of things. They contacted. Then he contacted Diana. Then suddenly, Life Theories was born. Suddenly, we met Jackie. She did our Akashic record readings. We talked about a certain situation, twin flame, that we went through. If you don't mind me saying, Jack. Now look at this. 1111 Spiritual Podcast starts. We're here right now. So there's lots of choices that we make for the good, but then have a think about the choices you made when you were younger. You didn't understand you had that power of choice. Okay, that's because of your shadow, because you got your traumas and that smashed down. All right, what are the benefits? As I just talked about, self-discovery, awareness. Awareness is the greatest gift you could ever have. All right, your self-discovery, oh yes, I'm going to go down the mulberry bush and down the yellow brick road, go down to Oz, meet the Tin Man, meet the Scarecrow. Okay, say hello to the witch, go, hi, how are you? All right, go and meet the lion and whatever else. That's great. Fantastic. We walk down, we get all these things, but also it's about the awareness of where you are and what you want to be in life. Because things will come to you as they've come to me, and I've gone, oh, am I that good? Then that's a reaction from the shadow. So you got those kind of things, having any awareness and understanding. And the greatest gift you can probably get from this shadow work is having the awareness when the shadow comes up to you and tries to not stop you, but the subconscious that's the programming you've had. All right, so accessing those kind of things. Okay, then you have the awareness of going, okay, like I already had that this week during this beautiful Mercury retrograde that I love so much, like sitting on a beach. Okay, so you sit there and you understand that too. So you get the awareness of where you're at. Okay, so healing process. As I said, I'm going through what the slide should have said. Okay, so we can acknowledge and work with our shadows as we do. Okay, this will allow our mind to make the choices where we're at. So this is where you got to have some sort of guidance with when you're doing it, because there's going to be questions, there's going to be traumas, there's going to be emotions that come forth. Okay, and it won't come straight away, because you have to do the work of what you're doing. And I'll go through what we're going to do in a basic idea at the moment, what we can do to actually start accessing the shadow through just words, and then you move on from there. All right, so we keep going through the healing process. Will be 9. There's 9 steps, okay, which we'll go through. Okay, healing process number 1: empowering to express yourself. Now, a lot of people, especially myself, they just don't want to say anything because they don't have the confidence to say it, because they always get knocked down. Okay, they don't have the confidence to talk and set boundaries. All right, I didn't know how to set boundaries. It's either flight or fight for me, right? But that's not going to work because you're living in the ego, and we'll talk about that later. That's a whole nother podcast. The next part is understanding the change within yourself. Now, guys, this will go up on the video afterwards. So if you miss out anything, the video will go. Well, the video will have this all on. Excuse me. Okay, so understanding the change within yourself. That's where your awareness comes in. So you understand you are changing, whether it's your environment, whether it's your thoughts, whether it's your physical body. Okay, things will start to stimulate in your brain. You go, hang on a minute, I'm in a rut. I'm coming out of the cell. Okay, I'm going to go and experience the light for once before I go back in the cell if I need to. So you'll feel those different feelings there because you're starting to work out yourself. Starting to say, okay, hang on, this doesn't resonate with me. This person doesn't resonate with me anymore, but these guys do. It's really, you will see it. You do move on, those kind of things, but that could be part of your shadow work, okay? Okay. Now, the other thing is we have to have an outlook of those expressions and feelings that we're getting and have the acknowledgement of those. So that's where you do your journaling. So you can acknowledge and journal yourself what you're feeling. Go, I'm feeling this because my dad made me feel this way, or this happened in my childhood, da 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 da. That's where you're acknowledging the emotions that come up when you feel that. Sorry, the visions or the situations that happened, that emotions come up. So you sort of like time traveling in some ways, astral traveling. Oh, look at that. Here we go. We'll talk about astral travel. Yeah, no worries. But you're going back. You're sort of going back. You're reliving the moment in a different in the present. Okay, so you got to acknowledge that. So you write that down. Okay, we take appropriate action to heal. There's a lot of different ways you can do that. Okay, take yourself and go, right, I'm going to heal myself. Whether it be go to the gym to start with, you do these little things. Go to the gym, right? Do your journaling, which we'll talk about later. Okay, go and seek some help. Understand where you're at. Why is this hindering me? Why do I hate? I'll use the word hate. I don't care. Why do I hate this? Why do I hate this? Why do I go, oh, I don't want to do this anymore? That's a negative attitude, isn't it? So you go and go, you understand, you go, hang on, that's not working for me. Why is it not working for me? Is it me or is it the person or whatever else? To have the awareness and write it down. There's a lot of writing that can be done, and I did a lot of writing since 2019. That's nearly 4 years, is it? Yeah, 4 years. A lot of writing to get to where I am. All right. And then you open up yourself to different healing methods. Okay. So whether it be, you might need, like, okay, here's a big one for you. Somewhat like I always use the analogy of the lion being in a pride and having an emotional connection and physical touch with their, the lion, the lioness, right? Some people don't get it, especially blokes. They don't get it. All right. So you have to understand that could be, that could be something that you have to work on. All right. And get to a point where, you have that sort of physical therapy, maybe that might help you. Something like that. Ladies as well. They might have been, in an abusive relationship. They have to gain the trust of people. That could be part of the shadow work there. As I say, I'm just using examples, ladies and gentlemen. There's where it is. So there's different healing methods for the different traumas that you have. You have to understand all this stuff. Okay. And then what we do is we look at accessing our lives, the people in our lives, and the way we run our lives day to day. All right. Are we sitting there watching Netflix for 150 hours? Okay. I watch Cobra Kai flat out because I can. Right. Great. But I have the attitude of now. Say, for example, right now, I wouldn't be I don't sit and binge watch, or sometimes I do, but if I were to, I've got a treadmill I've got a cross trainer in the lounge. I get on the cross trainer and move. So it's changed my percentage instead of sitting down stuffing myself with chips, which I used to do. Okay. So we did that. People in your lives. You look at the people that you connect with. What's going on? This is all about awareness and within yourself. What's going on? And don't fight it. Let it flow. Don't fight it. If it doesn't work for you, don't fight it. Just understand it. Don't go, oh, you've had a blue with your best mate or whatever it may be. Don't just sit back and go, hang on, if this is recurring, happening, something's going on within you. Are you moving on? Are you connecting with people differently? Just the way it is. Understand that. Write it down. There you go, journaling again. All right. And then we have to work out, Michael McNair, thank you very much. I'm going to keep talking about these wonderful people. What are you filling your minds with? Big example for me. When I decided to delete, well, I didn't know I was deleting. Okay, I decided to watch, and I love these guys. And Nikki Six, you're a wonder. What's happened to you and where you've gone about and rebuilt your life. There's a big plug for you, mate. Okay, probably if you do hear this. Okay, it's what you fill your mind with. So I'm watching this. So the big example for me is watching The Dirt, right? So I'm going out, I'm going to get drunk and do all this stuff, right? All this stuff. I end up nearly deleting because of it. Because I was filling my mind, because that's where I was spiritually. and I was filling my mind with negativity and going, this is what's going to happen. And I recognize that. I go, okay, now what do? I meditate, do some meditations at night. I still watch stuff. I still watch my retro, watch my wrestling and all that, but I enjoy it for what it is. It's a relax. It's not filling my mind with anything. It's not influenced because because I've done the work that I've understood that where I was emotionally and the traumas weren't being assessed, that these things could influence. Doesn't matter if it's drugs, alcohol, food, movies, people, they'll influence you if you're in the wrong state of mind or haven't worked with the past traumas, if that makes any sense to people. Okay, healing practices we've talked about. You'll be open to other things. You know, Jackie and I will always say tarot reading. We love looking at them. Great. If they give you an idea, great. And just for a big plug, Isis tarot readings over here. Big plug. Go and watch it. There you go. Isis tarot readings. Almighty Isis even got the little badge. Yeah, she does a great thing reading every week. Those things come up. Astrology, crystal healing, new foods, plant medicine, whatever it may be. New people looking at it. You know, Aaron Doherty. You look at Louise Hay. You look. I'll throw Karen Mandela in. I've learned a lot about self-sabotage from her. Okay, we've got Diana over here who loves the astrology. Then loves all the things astrology and the way she's come up from her life. Okay, she's an inspiration. Sarah's doing so much witchy poo work. I call it witchy poo because I love HR Puff and stuff, 80s movie. But the way her understanding of the universe is unreal. And then you've got the freedom fighter over in England, Cortez, who's talking about semen retention, understanding all that. So we're understanding that these healing practices come to you. And you might think, Mike, I wouldn't have even thought about it 5 years ago. Exactly, you've got awareness to move on. That's working with your shadow because you're healing yourself and moving on. Okay? And again, the other thing you got to do is what calms you and gives you peace of mind and happiness. At the moment for me is playing in bands. I don't mind doing the PE stuff that I do, the sports stuff, that's still great, but the band stuff is just the best. All right? And also doing these things, I love watching all these videos and understand and learning from great people who have been through this. Okay, so that's where it's all at. So as I said, this will be up on the replay. So I'll be putting all the slides up, and you'll be able to read it and watch it and listen to my beautiful voice. Probably get sick of it in a while anyway. Anyway, so then the last thing we wanted to say is we become active members of our healing and self-empowerment and betterment of ourselves. That's quite obvious. Okay, you start to redevelop and start working with you. You go, thank you very much, Shadow. Here's my new self. This is where I'm supposed to be. You find your purpose in life. Get up and have a purpose. That's huge. Now, the other thing we want to talk about too, just before I pull up, is grounding. Now, people talk about grounding and what's the deal with that in the shadow. Now, grounding means just getting yourself centered. Okay, it's such a simple process. Everyone talks about it. We've got to ground. You ground yourself to clear your mind and just get clarity on where your day is. I do it every morning. I'm a Reiki practitioner, level 2, going to level 3 apparently. And I just go out, put my feet on the ground and just do my little routine that I do. You can do anything and just say, like Wayne died, he got up every morning, went on the ground and said, thank you. Thank you for letting me get up. Thank you for showing gratitude for breathing, for being on this earth, all those kind of things, simple things. At least it gets your mind into a good mindset. All right, and then you might go listen to your favorite music and stuff, but your mindset's already set. So I talk about grounding with that. So that could be something that you could do as a daily practice to start with. Okay. Have we got any questions there? Jack, what do you want to butt in at all?
No, I will just, open the floor if anybody has any questions for Jay before we do our closing statement. And
what I will do while we're going through that, there's a couple of questions that I've developed that I wrote when I was going through my shadow. This will open up. I'll put these questions up as well. What does self-love mean to you? People can't tell you what the self-love is. Okay. And then we ask the question of name a time you felt betrayed or taken advantage of, or your trust has been broken. That could be a 20-page book. Big chance. But another thing, and these things aren't nice. I'm going to tell you straight up. This is where safe space and absolute trust and non-judgment comes in. That's something that all of us in this group practice. All right, and I'm going to tell you straight up, it's pretty hard to find that in some ways. Excuse me. It's very hard to find that in some ways. I know that. Maybe I'm overprotective, but now I've got a group I can trust, and and I always say, listen to actions. I'm not even going to explain that. Think about it. Listen to actions, because there's a sixth sense intuition there that will tell you anyway. Okay, next one is rejection. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? All right, and that's a rule in this work that Greg and Michael taught me. First thing that comes to your mind, write it down. Okay, don't think about it. Don't let the subconscious come and cloud your judgment. Okay, and then you'll go into, which I found good to work with a mentor, is what feelings are you holding down? Insecurity, fear, anger, self-confidence, all those kind of things. What are the feelings? Okay, so you write those things down. Now, and then you write down how they came up. And here's a big one for you. This is the next part that I will never forget this in my life. When Greg said to me, "Hey mate, how are you? How are you, Jay? What's happening? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us 5 things you love about yourself." You know what I did? I went, Greg he read my resume. He had to tell me how good I am. And then here's an example. It just happened. So I've entered this, I've got a great gift of something that I really wanted, right? Playing in this band. We won't mention who they are. But anyway, so I got my little rock family, right? So I got this guy, Spanish, my Spanish god mate, right? Yeah, he knows he's got a beautiful heart he has, but he loves it. He loves it. The ego's out of control. He loves it, right? We're all egomaniacs, us rock stars, right? Anyway, you know what he did? I looked at it, he goes, I won't say it in Spanish because I'm trying not to talk like him as I usually do. But he goes, "You should play in this band. You are very good." He's telling me, mate. I should be telling myself, but I never did. I'm sitting there going, "Oh my God, you think I'm good? What kind of, what I mean, now that's part of your shadow because you've never been told that. Put forward for one of the biggest tribute shows in Australia, and I'm telling myself, "Oh, am I that good?" Yeah, I am. Because you're always told, in that case, you're an egomaniac if you tell yourself how good you are. That's the biggest load of crap I've ever heard. Right? You can tell when someone's talking to the ego, and that's another story. But someone you generally can feel when someone's coming from the heart. That's why you say listen to actions. And that's where you've got to be very important with that. So write down what you're good at and believe it. All right? And then you write down what's the worst traits that are hindering your life. That goes back to maybe trust. So you can see they're linking up a bit. Okay? The other ones, a couple of others, I'll just quickly read out because we're going over time. Do you set boundaries? What are your personal boundaries? And do you enforce them? There's another one. We'll have this sheet up, as I said. What are your core values? Your values will change, ladies and gentlemen. That's the way it will go. And when you access your shadow and start understanding what's happening in here, you'll feel that your values haven't been used properly. You haven't lived your values. Your values will change. I know myself. I know how it works. I see it. I work in the public sector as an educator. I'm using words that I want to use. All right. The other thing I got told to do, write a letter to my inner child. Describe your childhood. I want you to write a positive affirmation about yourself. I write 3 things. I used to write pages and pages and pages and pages. I am, I will, I am grateful for. Now I write, I am beautiful and perfect as I am, and I'm working to be the best person I can be every day. and I am facing my fears and walking the shadow to become a better person. Something like that. I just modify those every day. It's down to 3 because it covers. And my brother from another mother, Big Jace, he's the one who told me he's a spiritual guru who doesn't know his power. I should get him on here one day. And then you work out, name your greatest fear, and then you go and name your greatest achievement. And the greatest achievement for me was quite simple, but take that one out. Obviously, I've got family, normal family that I created. There you go. Now I'm being a smart aleck. But your greatest achievement from there, your personal one. So thank you very much for letting me talk about this. There's a lot more we can go into, but we'll keep it short. I'll leave it over to you, Jack.